what it feels like to love someone who's forgotten you. When I lost Henry to Alzheimer's, I thought I had already lost him long before. The forgetting happened slowly at first. Misplaced keys, repeated questions, forgotten names. Then one day, my name was gone too. After the funeral, I found them. 30 love letters, tucked away in an old wooden box in the back of our closet. Each one was written before the disease took him from me, before he slipped into a world where I was just a kind stranger. As I unfolded each letter, I felt him again. His voice in every word, his love in every line. I played our favorite songs, cooked the meals he once adored, and watched our granddaughter giggle the way he used to. I tried to hold on to the pieces of him that remained. I learned that love isn't just in remembering, it's in carrying someone forward. And so, I did. One letter, one recipe, one memory at a time. One afternoon, I sat under the tree Henry planted the spring after we bought our house. The bark was rough against my back, grounding me, as if pressing hard enough might anchor me in this moment, before the weight of tomorrow swallowed me whole. The sunlight flickered through the leaves, stubborn in its warmth, but the cold had already settled inside me. Not just in the air, but deep in my bones. I kept thinking about the end, not about the casseroles left on the doorstep or the quiet house after everyone had gone, not about the funeral or the flowers. I thought about that final room, the one where I would sit beside him, maybe holding his hand if he let me, maybe brushing back his hair the way I always had, but he wouldn't know who I was. That's the part no one tells you when they say, he still knows you, deep down. One day, I would look into those blue eyes I had memorized and see nothing, not confusion, not fear, just emptiness. He wouldn't say my name. He wouldn't whisper, "Marg, baby," like he used to when I couldn't sleep. He wouldn't squeeze my fingers like he did the night our daughter Fern was born, because by then, I would be no one to him. A nurse, a visitor, a kind voice that made him flinch because even kindness wouldn't make sense anymore. And I would be there, loving him so loudly it would feel like screaming, but he wouldn't hear it. He wouldn't feel it. He wouldn't remember that I once made him laugh so hard he cried, or that we danced barefoot in the living room during a blackout. I would lose him right in front of me, and when his breath finally stopped and they told me it was time, what would I do? How do you mourn a man who left before his body did? I wrapped my arms around my knees and bit the inside of my cheek to stop myself from crying. It didn't work. The tears came anyway, quiet and steady. I tried to think about what Henry had been doing inside at that very moment, but I couldn't. "I'll be a stranger," I whispered, and the garden stayed still, like it didn't know what to say back. It was a few weeks after John's death when I found myself in the attic, standing in front of the old cedar chest. I didn't know what I was looking for. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. The hinges creaked as I lifted the lid, releasing a breath of dust and time into the air. The familiar scent of old paper and aged wood filled my lungs. Inside were wedding keepsakes, our invitation, a pressed and brittle daisy from my bouquet, a few yellowed photographs. Beneath a folded quilt, my fingers brushed against something unexpected. A stack of envelopes, about 30 of them, tied neatly with a pale blue string. My name was written on each one in John's steady, familiar handwriting, but the top letter had something extra. Beneath my name, he had written a single line, "For the days I forget, Marg." My hands trembled as I pulled the bundle into my lap. I untied the string with numb fingers and unfolded the first letter. The date at the top was from 7 years ago, right around the time he had started misplacing his keys, repeating the same stories, forgetting familiar names. I remembered that time too well. The quiet denial, the careful doctor visits, the uncertainty in his voice when he had said, "I think something's wrong with me, Marg." I remembered sitting beside him in the doctor's office, my heart pounding as the neurologist leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. He lowered his voice slightly, even though the door was closed. "Physically, John's in excellent shape," he said. "But based on the cognitive assessments and the MRI findings, it looks like Alzheimer's is presenting." "Presenting?" I repeated. The word felt clinical, cold. "It's early onset, but the patterns are clear." John didn't say anything. He just stared out the window behind the doctor, his gaze distant, like he was seeing something I couldn't. I reached for his hand, but he pulled it back to his lap slowly, absent-mindedly, as if he hadn't even noticed. "What does that mean for him?" I asked. "For us?" The doctor sighed.